It is 11 p.m. You are on the couch, one hand buried in your dog's fur, half watching something you've already forgotten the name of. He shifts closer, presses his ribs against your thigh, and then you hear it. A low, rolling sound from deep inside his chest, a growl. You pull your hand back, you hold still. You wonder for half a second if you touched a sore spot, if you annoyed him, if something just broke between you two. He looks up, you look away, and the moment passes like it never happened. That was a misread, a big one. That sound that made your hand freeze mid-stroke was not a warning. Behaviorists have a name for it. They call it a pleasure growl, one of the rarest vocalizations a dog can produce. It only surfaces around people the animal feels completely, unreservedly safe with. You didn't hurt him. You were the only person in his entire world who could pull that sound out of his body, and you flinched. But that isn't the only thing you've been reading wrong. Here's what you missed. Dogs who have been surrendered, returned to shelters, passed between homes. Those dogs do not wait by the door. They learn through repetition that the person who walks out doesn't always walk back in. The fact that yours plants himself on that cold floor every single morning and stays there is not dysfunction. It is the opposite. It is total, biological certainty that you are coming home. You looked at Faith and diagnosed it as a problem. Or the licking. He catches your hand while you're sitting at the table. Just a few small, warm passes of his tongue across your knuckles. You wipe it off on your jeans. You say, okay, that is enough. You figure he wants a treat or attention. Or that it is just some leftover puppy habit he never outgrew. None of that is what is happening. And the tail, you've watched it wag 1,000 times and thought a wag is a wag. Happy dog, moving tail, simple story. You never once checked which direction it swept. You never noticed that when he sees you walk through the front door, the arc pulls to his right side every single time. When the vet reaches for him, it drifts left. When a stranger bends down at the park, left again. For you, it is always right. You had a signal right in front of you, clear as a sentence written in the air. And you didn't have the alphabet to read it. Every one of these moments, the growl, the weight, the shadow, the lick, the direction of a wag, you interpreted through the only lens you had. Human instinct, human emotion, and every single time you landed somewhere wrong. Not because you were careless, not because you don't love him enough, but because no one ever told you that your dog's body runs on a completely different operating system than yours. And the signals it sends were never built for human translation, without a key. That key exists, and it starts with what is actually firing inside his nervous system. Every time he does one of these things you've been brushing off, correcting, or quietly worrying about. So here is what is actually happening 4 inches off your kitchen floor. That dog sprawled behind you, hind legs kicked straight back. Belly flat on the tile. From the outside, it looks like a goofy yoga pose. From inside his body, something far more serious just occurred. His sympathetic nervous system, the ancient wiring responsible for fight or flight, went quiet. Not dimmed, quiet. A canine's hind legs are loaded springs, designed to launch a 40-pound predator from zero to sprint in under a second. When those legs stretch flat behind him, every fast twitch muscle fiber in his escape apparatus has powered down. Veterinary researchers found that dogs rescued from high-stress environments almost never assume this position. Years into a safe home, their bodies still hold the tension. The muscles remember what the conscious mind has moved past. Your dog's legs are splayed across the hallway, like he has never once needed to run from anything. His threat detection hardware didn't lower its guard, it went offline. Now notice his ears. You're on the phone, not even talking to him. And those ears rotate toward your voice like satellite dishes locking onto a signal. A Budapest research team strapped motion capture sensors to dogs and found a bonded dog redirects its ears toward its owner's voice, nearly 90% faster than toward any unfamiliar sound. This can be not affection, this can be triage. His auditory cortex runs a constant classification loop. Safe signal, neutral signal, potential threat, and your voice sits at the top of the safe column. Each syllable triggers a small dopamine release in his reward pathway, the same circuit that fires when he finds food. His brain has filed your voice under the same priority as a survival resource. When he swivels those ears toward you mid-play, his nervous system is checking in with its primary safety beacon. And that dirty shirt he dragged off your bedroom floor. You thought he was being destructive, flip the lens. His olfactory system processes scent at roughly 40 times the resolution yours can manage. And his vomeronasal organ, a specialized receptor humans lost millions of years ago, reads the chemical layers in your worn clothing like a status report. Cortisol signatures, hormonal shifts, the bacterial profile unique to your skin. A German research group separated bonded dogs from their owners and split them into 2 groups, one given clothing carrying the owner's scent, the other given nothing. The dogs with access to their person's smell showed 67% lower cortisol. Your scent is not a comfort object the way a child clings to a blanket. It is a chemical input that directly suppresses his HPA axis, the hormonal cascade running from hypothalamus to pituitary to adrenal gland. Without that input, the cascade climbs. With it, the whole system throttles down. This can be the part that reframes everything. When he trails you from the kitchen to the bathroom and back again, he is not bored and he is not clingy. Dogs separated from their bonded humans show cortisol spikes that mirror acute stress events. The ones who shadow their owners maintain levels so stable that researchers compared the effect to pharmacological intervention. Your proximity is a parasympathetic trigger. You're the environmental variable that keeps his nervous system regulated. Every time he presses against your leg or drops his chin onto your foot, He is plugging back into the one input. That tells his entire threat assessment network to stand down, because nothing here requires escape. The splooting, the ear tracking, the stolen laundry, the constant shadowing, none of it was what you assumed. It was a nervous system built for vigilance, doing the only thing it knows. When it finally locates a reliable source of safety, just hold on and don't let go. So right now, after everything you just heard, there is probably a knot forming somewhere behind your ribs. You're replaying last Tuesday when he dropped that soggy tennis ball in your lap, and you pushed it away because you were on a deadline. Or the night he pressed his whole body against your legs while you had the flu and you nudged him off the couch because you just wanted some space. You're sitting here thinking you missed it, that all this time he was handing you his entire emotional vocabulary. And you responded in the wrong language. Stop, take a breath, because that guilt you're feeling right now is built on a massive misunderstanding, and it is the same misunderstanding that almost every dog owner carries around. Like a heavy stone in their pocket. You didn't fail him. You were never supposed to automatically decode this. A communication system that runs on cortisol signatures, vagus nerve feedback loops, and scent molecules. Things your conscious brain can't even register. When he slid between you and that stranger at the park, positioning himself with that calm, deliberate weight, he wasn't waiting for you to notice and praise him. His parasympathetic nervous system was already completing the circuit. The act itself was the conversation. Your presence was the only answer he needed. Think about what that actually means. Every time he chose your lap over that expensive orthopedic bed, every time he showed up with a sock when you were crying, every time he shadowed you through the house when your body chemistry shifted before you even felt the first symptom, he wasn't asking you to translate. He was running a biological protocol that predates human language by tens of thousands of years. His proprioceptive system was calibrating his exact distance from your body, based on data you couldn't see, smell, or feel. He was never waiting for you to get it right. He was already in the conversation, and the conversation was already working. That is the part nobody tells you. The correlation between you and your dog doesn't require your conscious participation to function. When he rested his chest against your hand and his heart rate dropped those 8 beats per minute, your awareness of the mechanism was irrelevant. The social buffering was happening at a level beneath thought, beneath intention, beneath anything you could have done better or worse. His nervous system recognized yours, and yours recognized his. Two completely different biological architectures found a frequency they could share, and they've been sharing it every single day you've been together. So no, you didn't miss the signs. You were reading a safety system with human assumptions. And that is not a failure. That is just what happens when one species communicates through facial expressions and spoken words, and the other communicates through scent gradients and postural microshifts, and autonomic nervous system responses that operate below the threshold of conscious thought. Something is going to happen tonight that you aren't expecting. Not because you read a training manual or hired a behaviorist or ordered some gadget off the internet. None of that. What is going to happen will cost you nothing, except 5 minutes and a small surrender of dignity. Because you're going to sit on the floor. That is it. That is the whole thing. Tonight, whenever you're done with dinner or scrolling or whatever your evening looks like, walk over to wherever your dog usually settles down and lower yourself all the way to the ground. Not the couch, not a chair pulled close, the actual floor. Just sit there and do absolutely nothing. Don't call his name. Don't reach out to pet him. Don't make kissy noises or pat your thigh. Just sit, breathe slowly, and wait. Here's why this matters more than it sounds. Your dog has spent his entire life looking up at you. You exist, from his perspective, as a moving tower that sometimes bends down to deliver food or affection, and then rises back up into a world he can't follow. When you lower yourself to his plane, you remove that vertical distance, and his nervous system registers the shift immediately. Your parasympathetic nervous system begins to nudge his, and his begins to nudge yours, two vagus nerves quietly syncing their rhythm. Without either of you deciding to do it, you'll probably notice something within the first 90 seconds. Maybe he freezes for a moment, ears slightly forward, trying to figure out what changed. Maybe he does a slow approach, the kind where his weight shifts forward one paw at a time. Nose working, reading the air around your hands and your knees. Maybe he circles once and then drops his body against your leg, with a sigh that sounds like it came from somewhere deeper than his lungs. That sigh, by the way, is not random. It is an autonomic exhale tied to a downshift. In sympathetic nervous system arousal, his body is telling his brain that the environment just became safer. And the variable that changed was you, 3 feet closer to the earth than usual. Some dogs won't come close right away, and that is perfectly fine. If your dog watches you from across the room for 5 minutes, that is still data. That is still his nervous system processing a new input. You aren't failing the exercise. There is no failing this. You're just sitting on your own floor. What you're really doing underneath the simplicity of it is offering your dog something he can't ask for in words. You're telling him, through the only language his autonomic system fully trusts, that right now, in this moment, you aren't about to stand up and leave. You aren't preparing to go somewhere. You're just here, low and still, and breathing, and he can do whatever he wants with that information. Don't turn this into a training session. Don't add commands. Don't time it with a stopwatch. And stress about whether you hit exactly 5 minutes. Just sit until it feels done, and then get up slowly and go about your night. And then I want you to come back here and tell me what happened. Not what you think it meant, not your interpretation. Just tell me exactly what you saw. Did he lean into you? Did he bring a toy over? Did he place one paw on your knee and stare at your face?